salty seer, loyal crew by your side.
It's ready!
What is it?
Or Jolly Roger. We are.
The Straw Hat crew. We're heading up to the Grand Line.
A treacherous stretch of ocean with bigger islands, bigger pirates.
And that's where we're gonna find the One Piece.
Wait, I would start the show so I can understand.
Welcome to Cordkillers, the show about watching the stuff you love when you want, where you want, however you want. Me? Oh, I'm just Tom Merritt.
Hey, me, Brian? I'm just Brian. Who? Bryce, what is this?
What is this One Piece?
This is that was a trailer for the upcoming live action adaptation of One Piece, the hit Japanese comic and cartoon.
Oh, yeah. Now I just found out what that hit Japanese comic and cartoon is about. I never knew.
Yeah, it's been running for like 26 years, and so the concept is just kind of like, hey, we're a ragtag team of pirates. And so we're just going to do pirate stuff. The original story is still going, so this adaptation will be the third thing going on at the same time.
It is
so there's an anime. And there's a manga, an anime, and now a Netflix, live action adaptation.
This Netflix adaptation,
Am I the only one who was a little bit taken aback by the fact that it looked an awful lot in production quality and value to Our Flag Means Death?
I had to look at the notes and be like, we're not getting an Our Flag. Oh, no, it's okay. Got it. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess how many comedic pirate looks are there in the world? But yeah, I was struck by that too.
Well, I mean, there could be plenty of comedic pirate looks, but also there's only so many of them that you could use that Unreal Engine background and the same set to do. I mean, it looked awfully familiar. Am I wrong, Bryce?
That seems right. I wonder what the point of doing these adaptations are in live action.
That was going to be my question of like, how many times before Netflix gives up upsetting a loyal fan base? Like, or is this the time where they're like, no, we love this one. This one's great.
Well, I wonder if conceptually, and I'm going to keep this very short because you could go down a whole rabbit hole here, but wouldn't the next best step in adapting, say, an anime like this is to make another anime in your own style or in an American style or in an English style so that you're still pretty close to what it originally is, but you don't have to put it into this live action box just so it feels different.
I feel like that has the risk of being more directly compared of like, well, you're just doing the same thing over again. At least with live action, you're trying it in a different way.
Just to put a button on it, reminder, we're barely 2 years out of the pandemic, and maybe there's yet another remnant of like, what if we did a show where everybody was in a bubble in the same room and so on? No?
What about that?
That might be why all of these shows are looking the same right now.
Well, and because they're all just they're all green screen. So you're right. I mean,
but they don't have to be. But somebody decided they should be, and so we're seeing this. We're seeing many different plays all in the same theater. Is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I mean,
maybe. Yeah.
But ocean stuff is expensive.
What's cool though is we're talking about different things than we did years ago when we started this show and the shows that spawned it. So let's get back to our roots and the primary target about Netflix.
Who?
Netflix announced its earnings last week, bringing a lot of news with it. Netflix saw its second straight quarter of subscriber growth, up 5.9 million worldwide to 238.4 million, beating expectations of 1.7 million. So by a lot, beating expectations, 1.7, a smaller number than 5.9. So Netflix is growing subscribers. After a test in Canada, Netflix has now removed its basic tier in the US and the UK as well. That leaves standard with ads as the cheapest tier for £4.99 a month in the UK, $6.99 in the US. If you recall, we mentioned when this happened in Canada that ad-supported tier streams in 1080p, the more expensive basic without ads tier had streamed in 720p. So they fixed that. Now everything streams in 1080p, and they got rid of the one that streamed in 720p.
We'll talk later on about the. I had an interaction with a basic tier that involved ads, and I had a response to it. We'll get to that later on.
Okay. Netflix also announced it's expanding its password sharing crackdown to pretty much all the remaining markets that it didn't get it to yet. The biggest of its markets that didn't have it yet was India. It will not launch the option to add an out-of-house member to your account in most of these markets. And that's because every market has a different set of plans, and a lot of these other markets, including India, have very inexpensive mobile-only plans. So they feel like, well, you don't need to add a person, just get your own cheap plan.
So this is one of those things that I personally believe they could have made a hard line at the very beginning, but they were flexible. They looked the other way for a significant amount of time in order to build market share. I think they're 100% entitled to do this. And I think that on behalf of the shareholders and on behalf of themselves, congrats. I'm really glad that you were able to free ride this far, but...
Well, I mean, it certainly did not work. They raised their subscribers, at least for now. Netflix also confirmed it will stream a live golf match in November featuring race car drivers and pro golfers. It's a promotional event for Netflix's Drive to Survive and Full Swing docuseries. Co-CEO Ted Sarandos indicated that Netflix is not going to get into the bidding war for live sports, though. He said, and I quote, "We really think that we can have a really strong offering for sports fans at Netflix without having to be part of the difficulty of the economic model of live sports licensing."
This just in, Tom. I have a translator. He speaks Sarandosian, and he says... what that means is we're going to invent our own new sports. We're going to take sports that nobody likes. We're going to, wait, I'm sorry, what's that? Yes, we're going to make them very popular, very cool to markets that don't realize they're both popular and cool. Back to you, Tom.
Yes, so give them to us for cheap. Cornhole, thank you. Love Netflix.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was like a Reddit thread where there was somebody playing like in a cornhole world championship who lacked limbs below his knees or beyond his elbows, and he was like a top tier player. Like, bring us those stories, and I think you'll be just fine.
I think you're probably right that Netflix is looking for stuff like that. They certainly are saying we're going to do our own live sports events, but they won't be us licensing the big expensive pro sports. A few other tidbits worth noting. As a result of the writer and actor strikes, Netflix says it's going to have $1.5 billion more in cash than it would have otherwise. So it's got $5 billion of cash now. This plus accelerating revenue from the rising subscribers means that Netflix hope to, and I'll use their words again, start ticking up our cash spend on content again in the third and fourth quarters, according to CFO Spencer Newman, who added, "We want to do it responsibly." So don't freak out, shareholders, but we're going to have a little more cash now from the U.S., so we'll probably spend it in places that are not on strike. And Sarandos also told analysts that Netflix does not find the prospect of licensing any of its own content to others too exciting. So this idea of like, hey, Netflix is getting non-exclusive stuff. Maybe Netflix will license out House of Cards to Warner for Max, or that's not going to happen. At least Netflix says it won't.
Okay, so which of these are encouraging messages to shareholders and which are warnings to those who are wanting to oppose them?
Every one of them is an encouraging message to a shareholder. Which ones do you think are the warnings to the
the idea of like
destroy,
specifically the quote, well, that allows us to start ticking up our cash spend on content again.
Oh, yeah. No,
wouldn't it be a shame if we had a whole bunch of cash, but we just weren't able by union rules to give it to you?
That is very clear. That is serving multiple things. It is a salve to shareholders. Like, don't freak out. We're going to be spending more cash. But it's also, hey, WGA and SAG-AFTRA, we're saving money by not paying you, and we're going to go spend that on other actors in other parts of the world because we're a global company.
Yeah. I feel
And
like
writers.
we could do a whole hour on everything else beyond this.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this, Brian. I'm not sure how if this is clear to everyone, but I look at this and I see Netflix having very strong subscriber numbers, surprisingly strong subscriber numbers. Meaning, hey, we fixed it. It was a temporary downturn. It was not a problem with the Netflix model. We're fine. It's even more than we expected because we did the password sharing crackdown. There might even be some backroom chatter of, we really didn't need to do the password sharing crackdown. Look how big our jump was. But hey, we did it and it rose. Don't worry, we will be able to keep rising. Maybe not 5.9 million a month or a quarter, but don't worry. Also, if you're worried about the strikes affecting output, also don't worry. We're going to take that cash and we're going to spend it on content elsewhere. So we will have new things. Don't even fret it.
Is there any amount of discounting of this message we should do, given the fact that we know that they're in the middle of a standoff?
I don't know. It's hard. I think it's easy to overestimate that kind of stuff because a lot of business operations just keep on doing what they do. It's really hard to make company-wide strategies and change big things just as a negotiating tactic. What my guess is anywhere where there's a couple of decisions that could help one way or another, they're making those decisions. And Netflix has the advantage. Not that the other studios don't have this, but they have a bigger advantage in saying we don't even have to cross the picket line. We're not hiring replacement players like we're a sports league. We're not going to go get non-SAG-AFTRA actors who don't care about their future. We could just go to a different market where the actors and the writers are not crossing the picket line because they are not on strike, and we're going to use that advantage.
Tom,
Yes.
are we scabs?
I am not a scab because I'm not a member of SAG-AFTRA, and I've read up on this. They clearly said anything that is news reporting and independent and is part of your livelihood, keep doing it. What they don't want that we would even come close to getting to cross the picket line is engaging in promotion. So, for instance, going to a screening right now could potentially be seen as crossing the picket line.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely going to the screening and then talking about it later is seen as sketchy behavior. And what's absolutely crossing the picket line is being paid to promote. So that's why you don't see the actors doing the junkets and stuff like that. I haven't been to any screenings and I won't be anytime soon. So I'm not worried about any of that sort of thing. And the rest of what we're doing is just reporting on the news.
You guys want to become scabs right now?
No, I don't. Why?
Well, I just wrote a script right now while you were talking. It's called Scab, the Cordkillering by Brian
Okay,
Brushwood.
what are you doing? What are you doing here, Brian?
Well, I don't know. Should I not do this?
No, I don't know. I don't know where you're going with this. I'm not sure what this has to do with
There's
it.
only 2 lines. I just need 2 actors. I'm casting 2 actors who are willing
but
to say
why?
these 2 lines. Huh?
Why are you doing this?
You know what? It's this tension, Tom. It's this inability to know what's right and what's wrong in this crazy world that makes me want to keep our show loud, live, and independent. That's why everybody needs to go to patreon.com/Cordkillers. Then you'll get your own RSS feed. You'll get exclusive access to our After Talk segment. You'll get to hear Tom become visibly puckered and tense as I attempt to put him in a terrible position. You'll see Bryce definitely not turn the camera on himself during this segment, except for when he does. Brave move. I respect. But most importantly, you know what? Normally I'm all about asking for just 1 penny more. This week, take a week off. 1 penny less.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, we've been asking for $1.37 per episode.
I think that's Brian's way of being pro-union.
I think you know what? I was going to say it's $1.36 an episode, but now you went and messed with it. You varmint? I don't know what the terms are.
Why you
You're a
Yosemite
rattlesnake.
Sam to
You're
me?
rattlesnake. You're a rattlesnake, Tom. Okay, fine. Everybody, either keep your pledge the same or maybe raise it to $1.38 an episode and show that rattlesnake Tom Merritt's what's what. Head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers. Get exclusive access to after time, whatever we call it.
Well, all of those things, yeah. And the peace of mind of knowing you're not crossing a picket line to do it.
I mean, unless you guys want to. Line 1, I had. Written,
Aren't you actually part of a union?
I had to become a member of AFTRA.
What?
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah.
What up, AFTRA? Kick me out. I don't want to be in there anyway.
Because of his radio days.
Y'all maybe actually it was when I went on the Tonight Show the second time, and then it only cost me money. But then one time Jay Leno got a bellyache, and he a very rare circumstance where they played a rerun. I happened to be on the rerun. I got $800. So who's $500 up?
Not bad. That's right. So if you want to support Brian while he is on strike, support us at patreon.com/Cordkillers. Now it's time for What to Watch and Under Surveillance.
This is all complicated stuff. I don't understand it.
Well, let's make it simple. People bought tickets to Barbie and Oppenheimer. AMC said it set a post-COVID record for admissions, drawing 7.8 million people. And those people actually showed up. This is not just, we sold 7.8 million tickets. AMC says it was its second highest food and beverage revenue day ever, second only to Avengers Endgame in May 2019. So that implies either the few people who showed up were very hungry or a lot of people showed up and bought food. Barbie brought in $162 million. Oppenheimer brought in $82.4 million. That's just North America. They brought in more worldwide. And it looks like IMAX was 20% of Oppenheimer's receipts, which was a record for IMAX. So people not only saw both, but they saw Oppenheimer and IMAX.
It's kind of a fun thing to speculate about whether or not this is people are that excited about Barbie or that excited about Oppenheimer, or whether this is all a referendum on just people wanting to go back to the movies. I went to go see Oppenheimer, which we'll talk about later, and I was astonished. Everybody who was going to see Barbie was dressed all in pink. They were having a fantastic time, and it kind of felt to me like a referendum on just going to the movies again.
Yeah. I think we talked last week about, will they draw the wrong lessons? Are people actually going to show up? I think it's very clear people were excited to show up and had a great time. And from the people I've talked about who did, people I talked to, because I did not, from the people I talked to who did show up, they all were like, yeah, that was great. I can't wait to go do something else at the theaters next time. It was a very positive experience. So I don't think they need to recreate Barbenheimer in the future. Let the internet recreate that if it wants someday. Don't try to make it happen, but do reap the benefits of, hey, people showed up for good content. And neither one of these were sequels. So you don't have to have a Marvel movie to make people go to the theater. And people have now rediscovered, like, oh, right, we did like to go to the theater, and now they're doing it again, which is good.
I will say this much. Seeing Oppenheimer, they had a little segment where they were like proving just how cool Atmos was with sounds going all around you, and then it rumbles your butts in the chairs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a 15-minute lag between a theater with Atmos and one without. I'm really glad I went to the one with Atmos. Having said that, I have opinions about Oppenheimer that we'll talk about later.
All right. When are we talking about those?
Next segment.
Here in this show. Not okay. Let's talk about Star Trek then. Star Trek made some announcements at Comic-Con. Let's talk about three of them. One, Paramount showed an extended clip from the upcoming fifth and final season of Star Trek Discovery. It's Burnham chasing some scavengers. Released a trailer for the fourth season of Star Trek Lower Decks and announced it will premiere the first 2 episodes on September 7th. Released a trailer for an upcoming musical episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds called Subspace Rhapsody with 10 original songs, and released the full episode of the Strange New Worlds Lower Decks crossover and put it online for all to watch early, readjusting its schedule to keep a new episode coming this Thursday. So they're not releasing Thursday's episode early. They just said, here, everybody, we'll give you this crossover. I want to talk mostly about this because I watched it and immediately texted Bryce and Brian saying, just jump in, watch this episode of Strange New Worlds. I know you haven't watched any others. It doesn't matter. Watch it. Don't ask any questions about it. And Brian, you did. So I was pleased.
When Tom Merritt says, watch this, no questions, go now, you say, how high, sir? Bryce, you didn't happen to watch this?
I did. What? Yeah. Yes, I did.
Okay. So mini discussion. We'll save a lot for it for after talk. I loved it. It was great. It was so surreal to see a previously on, and I think this might be the perfect crossover because it let Strange New Worlds audiences know that Lower Decks is more serious Star Trek than you would expect. And it let Lower Decks folks know that Strange New Worlds is maybe more fun than you expected. I loved every moment of it. Nothing I loved more than the moment that Tawny Newsome and Brad Boimler, I forget the names, when they're like, yeah, this area is so weird. It's like, yeah, everybody talks so quiet and slow.
Yeah. Well, they did the thing that Lower Decks does, right? They tied a ribbon on the weird thing that you would think. Like, yeah, we're thinking it too. Let's point it out. I wasn't sure how they were going to meld that style, that exact style that they put a ribbon on, how they were going to meld that. And I wasn't sure it was working at first when it was just Boimler. I was like, he's a little too silly for this show. But over time, they convinced me by just having Pike react to like, man, you're really silly. Like, yeah, and you need to stop. And then once they got Mariner in there, and it was clear that it was like, oh no, that's just Boimler. Look, I'm not quite so weird. You know, let's do the thing. And I thought it was an incredible choice for them to keep those characters as the characters they are in Lower Decks, while keeping all the Strange New Worlds characters in character as well. And that's a tough thing to pull off.
Bonnie, I sat her down and I said, how much credit do I have with you? Let me show you something called Strange New Worlds. And we got to a part where it was a cartoon, and Bonnie like got about a minute in, and she says, I swear, if this is all a cartoon, I am out. And I said, what if I told you it wasn't? And I don't know. I loved it. I loved it beyond words. It was so much fun. Bryce, what was it like from your viewpoint?
I liked it except for the crossover bits. It's not like it was a complicated story or anything, but I definitely felt out of the loop when Boimler was being very skittish about the crew members from the past that I didn't know about. Like, I knew about Spock, and he's supposed to be stoic and all, but the Pike and the number one lady, I didn't know any of that, so that was kind of over my head. But otherwise, I mean, it's still funny. It's well written. I thought Newsome and Jack Quaid did great.
I was a little confused by the number one thing too. Was that previously referenced in Lower Decks and I just forgot it, or was that a new thing they introduced in this episode?
I got the impression that it was a new thing that was introduced.
Okay.
But within context, like, we know he worships the past, right? We know he worships the greats.
I caught that fairly easily. Yeah.
But fun, and then you get to do a time travel story that, hey, don't mess with the past. Like, very simple stuff. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, more strange new facts. Adult Swim stopped working with Justin Roiland in January 2023. And if you're like, that name sounds familiar, Roiland voiced both Rick and Morty on the show Rick and Morty. So they had to come up with new voices. Rick and Morty executive producer Stephen Levy told Comic-Con that they are close to recasting the voices and that they will, in fact, be sound-alikes.
So unlike Solar Opposites, where there was a voice-changing laser ray, they're aiming to essentially be the same. Here's a sentence I did not 5 years ago expect us to be exploring seriously. How much AI? How much AI? Do they own the likeness of the characters enough that they're able to get actors to say the words and then just tweak them a little bit so it's perfect?
Very clearly, they own the sound of the characters, or they couldn't get sound-alikes, right? They'd already run across stuff. So they are within their rights to use a machine learning model to synthesize this voice. I don't know if it's good enough yet, but it could be good enough for a little polish here and there. And if they do a little polish here and there, will they admit it?
I would imagine, I mean, dated example, but it's like when Tupac showed up at Coachella, it's like the majority of Tupac's holographic performance was, just playing the Tupac tracks, but they needed somebody to sound like Tupac saying, "What's up, Coachella," and so on. I would imagine just that for the entire show going forward.
Well, but we all knew Tupac wasn't really there.
Sure. But with the enhancement of, the vocal fry and all of those, whatever mathematical deep fake aspects.
I don't think they would replace human voice for many reasons, most of which have to do with the strike. But I don't think they would get in trouble for paying actors and then taking previous episodes and using that to kind of blend with the paid actors. They're going to have to work all that out, obviously, in the contract talks, but there'll be rules by the time they finish the strike. And as long as they play by the rules, it'll be fine. I guess you're right. Maybe at post-strike, when everybody's like, okay, we know when it can be used and when it can't, the audience might be like, fine, I'm just curious how you did it. That sounds interesting.
But for now, you feel like they're going to keep it quiet.
Well, it's hard to judge right now because right now it's one of the main things in the strike. So they wouldn't want to do that at all right now. And they can't because they can't use the actors. So it's all a moot question at this point. It's all academic.
Yeah. Although that would be a powerful flex for the studios to do, is to just not even hire anyone and just provide an episode.
Well, that would be a bigger deal than just replacing Justin Roiland at that point. That would be replacing all the actors, right?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, it would be a declaration of war, 100%.
Yeah. I think that's outside the scope of this particular story. Yeah. What it sounds like they were saying at Comic-Con was, hey, don't worry, Rick should still sound like Rick, and Morty will still sound like Morty. I am also curious, like you are, how they end up doing that. Is it just really good sound-alikes? Could be. That might be all they need. We'll see. Second trailer for The Marvels arrived Thursday night. In April, it premiered on Good Morning America. This time it arrived after a social media countdown. Marvels arrives in theaters November 10th, 2023. There wasn't that much new in this new trailer. I found it more interesting that they didn't premiere it during a big basketball game. Well, there's no basketball, or the All-Star game or something. They did it on social media.
And specifically during Good Morning America, which is, I may be overstepping my bounds here, but as I understand, television is coded more female than male. So
I don't know if it's coded more female than male.
I believe more females.
I think
watch
if what
it
you're
than
saying
males.
is more women watch Good Morning America than men, that might be right. I haven't checked the demo.
Which is the one where the two girls are drinking wine? One of them was the daughter of George Bush.
That was the Today Show.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Kathy Lee is not there anymore, I believe.
Oh, Kathy. No. I'm thinking of Hoda
Kotb and Kathy Lee.
No. It's
wasn't it? It was
Jenna Bush.
No. What?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm almost certain.
Okay.
All right.
It was the Today Show.
Okay. Yeah, I was wrong on both accounts, but right.
Also, there's a difference between that and the Today Show. There's like the mainstream Today Show that everybody turns on when they're going to work if they're over 40. And then there's the Today Show 4th Hour, which was kind of a midday talk show format to compete with other midday talk shows like Live with Kelly.
And also, like, if the thesis is they played this trailer on a show that is probably a more primary female audience, that makes sense to me, given the story and the
But here's the
content
interesting
of the
part. They didn't premiere it on Good Morning America.
Oh, yeah.
This time.
That
was the first time back in April. This time they went social media.
Oh, okay. Well,
also didn't give much new info.
It was
Just saying.
It was a cool trailer for what seems like a very generic idea.
I took this as we realized that the audience isn't watching morning television at all anymore. That they're watching TikTok and Twitter and Facebook, and that's where we should premiere it. Then let's try that and see what happens.
Well, one thing I know for sure is the hosts certainly don't watch morning television.
Definitely not. Disney put the first 3 episodes of Secret Invasion on Hulu until August 17th. So we've talked a lot about Apple putting stuff on YouTube or uploading whole episodes to Twitter. Disney's even done stuff like that before. But Disney has Hulu. They own it. It's part of the bundle with Disney Plus and ESPN Plus. So this seems like a no-brainer. If anybody's got Hulu but hasn't bundled yet, well, bundle up. You like those episodes, those first 3 episodes? Make sure you get Disney Plus before we finish the season. Now,
yeah,
it's tempting to be like, insert your own opinions about what you think about Secret Invasion, but some people are going to watch this on Hulu and like it, right?
I tried real hard to watch Justified Primeval City on Hulu and literally couldn't. And by the time we got it figured out, I saw an ad and I snapped, and then I just bought it on Amazon. So I'm a little bit concerned for just Hulu writ large. Everything else we'll talk about on.
I have not heard about people having widespread problems not being able to watch Hulu. Are you sure this wasn't just a?
Oh no. This was a my family thing. We used to have Hulu plus all of the things that basically replace cable. And then at some point when I was not paying attention, my family decided, oh, that's expensive. We'll use a student account on Penelope, who's home for the summer. And then I looked back and I was like, let me watch the thing. And I got as far as seeing one ad, and then I was like, nope. And then I went and bought the Justified episode. Interesting.
So what you're saying is it's too damn complicated to figure out how to get stuff.
It's too damn complicated, and then there's ads. And then that was the last straw.
And then you're out. Finally, The Verge has an article calling Netflix's They Cloned Tyrone, which also came out this week, a cult hit. Verge describes it as a wild story about a secret organization terrorizing an unsuspecting black neighborhood from the shadows, and it stars John Boyega and Jamie Foxx.
Have you seen any of these?
I did not. I thought about watching this, but I didn't watch it. I thought it was interesting that on the weekend of Barbenheimer, The Verge actually went and said, hey, a lot of people didn't see either one and watched this one instead. I didn't watch any of them, but I thought that was interesting. So, yes, I'm a hypocrite for bringing it up.
No, you're not. You're a journalist. Wait.
No, if I was a journalist, I would have watched it and reported back. But no, I didn't watch it. I assumed you didn't watch it. I just thought it was interesting that we had a third option for the weekend. Yeah.
Except for there was also a fourth option, which we'll talk about in front lines. But did you guys see that Invincible released that one-off of Adam Eve?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So you want to move it up?
There was a fourth and a fifth option is what I'm trying to say. Also what we do in the shadows.
Well, sure. There were all kinds of other options as well. I'm just thinking in the movie sense of there were 2 big movies and then there was a third movie getting buzz. Obviously not from us.
I mean,
This is a hypothetical. No? Okay. Let's talk about what you had our eyes on. What did you watch, Brian?
I went and saw Oppenheimer. I am glad that I saw it in the Dolby Atmos situation. I think I hated it. I was really surprised by that because I like Christopher Nolan movies. I think that he does very smart writing, but this whole thing reeks of Oscar bait. There's literally a moment in which an argument is happening and Oppenheimer leans forward and whispers to the camera, "Won't anyone tell the truth about this moment?" And then later on, there's at some point I got bored and I just tried to identify all of the scientists that I could figure out who was who on the Manhattan Project. I was really surprised. Also, here's a genuine case where I believe Christopher Nolan's infatuation with practical effects has damaged a movie. Because he couldn't actually detonate any kind of atomic device, which I believe has a white-hot flash similar to what you would get from a Kodak camera as part of its initial flash. Instead, he did practical effects, which usually means setting gasoline on fire. As a result, the nuclear bomb, spoiler alert, there's a nuclear bomb, just looked like somebody set gasoline on fire. I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. Real line, I'm going to spoil one line devoid of context. Sir, there were 3 dissenting votes. One of them came from, it looks like a junior senator from Massachusetts, someone who didn't much like the way you treated Oppenheimer. What's his name? Shuffle, sure. Kennedy. Wait, shuffle. John F. Kennedy Jr. I was out. I didn't like it.
Yeah. All right. I get it. So did you see anything you did like this weekend?
He was not prepared to answer that one, Tom.
Well, you said there was a 4th option. I thought maybe that was the 4th option, was the good thing.
I have in the queue ready to go. Adam Eve, the Invincible one-off. I'm very excited about. What We Do in the Shadows is back, season 5. Again, I'm borrowing from the rest of the rundown.
Sure. Okay. I watched The Bear finally, season 2. We once we got going on it, we just barreled through it. Barreled. I thought it was genius how they did it, because I was a little curious how you're going to make a season 2, given that season 1 is all about big successful chef comes back to small neighborhood Italian beef shop and tries to figure out what to do with it, right? And then at the end of this, you have, this is what he's going to do with it. Well, season 2 is about he decides he's going to turn it into an elevated restaurant instead of try to save it as a local diner. And how does he do that? And so the entire season is just how do you open a restaurant and all the drama that goes around that. There's a pretty crazy flashback episode to Christmas that I recommend be part of your Christmas viewing from now on. If you want truly representational dysfunctional Christmas as part of your viewing. But I was pleased. I thought the second season was as strong, and in some ways maybe even stronger than the first.
Is it something that you could just start on the second season, or?
I don't know. There's a lot of character building in season 1 that pays off in season 2. So you would be missing a piece of important brain chemistry if you watched it without watching season 1.
You're going to lose your medulla oblongata.
Yeah, your medulla.
Your medulla
oblongata.
Yeah,
two ends when none were needed. I'm here for it.
Also, I think the thing, the thing about the brother in season 1 is huge in season 2 as well. So I'm not sure you're getting past that if that's still the thing you don't want to.
Yeah, I'll get around to it.
Yeah. And I'm not even trying to push you into that. I'm saying if you started season 2, you might run into the same thing. So I would say you should probably do season 1. If you can do season 1, do season 1. All right, Bryce, what should we be on the lookout for?
Hey, I got one for you here. What We Do in the Shadows. What We Do in the Shadows is back on Hulu. This is season 5. It picks up right where season 4 ended, of Guillermo trying to turn into a vampire in secret. Little does Guillermo know that familiars going around their masters to become vampires is a major no-no. It's apparently the only thing vampires don't joke about. So you've got that going on. Colin Robinson is fully adult again, and now he's trying out different jobs. So that seems like that's another runner this season. I only caught the first episode, but I think there's 2 or 3 out now already. Tom, you caught some of this, right?
I did. I thought I'd only caught the first episode. I just double checked. I watched the first 2. I have not watched the third, which is also out. And I was impressed how they dealt with Guillermo's secret and how quickly they didn't string things out, but how quickly they get to it and then still make it compelling for him to keep it a secret. That's all I will say, but I have enjoyed it. Brian, it sounded like you hadn't quite started it yet.
I made it 10 minutes in and I was already in love, but then I was spoiled for choice.
Yeah. It's tough too, because we watched the first episode, I think shortly after it aired or after they dropped the first 2, but then didn't get around to the second one right away because there's so much going on. But I don't know. I feel like this is maybe improved on the previous season.
Maybe it's a little early to say, but I'm fingers crossed for that. So that's What We Do in the Shadows. That's on Hulu and FX. There are new episodes coming out weekly. The season finale will be in the first week of September. So check that out. If you've got something we should be on the lookout for, please email it to us, cordkillers@gmail.com. Thank you.
Oh, but Brian.
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah.
Would it be, how are you going to email someone if you don't have a computer?
How are you going to do it, Brian?
With my cell phone, of course. I don't understand the question.
Oh, but your cell phone is not in your house. It's out in your car. You left it in the car. Now what are you going to do?
Oh, my God. I guess I'll walk out to my car and get my cell phone.
Oh, no, the floor is lava.
Oh,
Yeah,
The floor outside is lava,
oh, my
unfortunately.
God. Okay, now things have gotten tight. Okay, the floor is lava. I've got to get the word out.
But
there's
no UPS strike yet, so they can deliver over the lava.
Okay.
Lava boots.
I'm going to pick up my phone and I'm going to call Doghouse. No, I can't call Doghouse
Not
System.
here.
No.
Okay, I'll use this old busted computer and I'm going to go to doghousesystems.com/rogue and I'm going to order a new, faster computer that UPS will be able to deliver.
Yeah.
And they'll chuck it over the lava.
Right
and then
over.
I'll be keeping us in business while getting best in class service on top of the line PCs.
You know what the most genius part of that is, Brian?
What?
When the UPS person shows up, you can have them get your phone.
You know what? They have a generous return policy too.
In case you just need to get your phone.
If
you're gonna love
you
it so much, you're not
have
gonna
your
want to return
phone in your car and you're surrounded by lava, order a doghousesystems.com/rogue PC, get the UPS guy to throw you your phone and then say, I return it. And they'll be totally cool with it.
That works.
That's the Brian Brushwood guarantee.
And then once you have your phone, should they do something for you, Brian?
What they should do is be very, very patient. We have a new puzzle box coming up at scamstuff.com. That's Gear for the Modern Rogue. It's one of our
on the
best
way.
ever. It's minutes away from shipping. But in the meantime, if you want something to fool your friends, to be the life of the party, or to celebrate all things gentleman, scoundrel, and warrior, I know my own tagline. Then head on over to scamstuff.com.
Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
Peacock has raised the price of premium with ads by $1 to $4.99 and ad-free Premium Plus by $2 to $11.99 a month. Remember, there's no free with ads tier anymore for Peacock. If you have it, hold on to it because they won't take it away from you yet. But if you switch, you lose the chance to go back to it. New subscribers will pay the new price now. And if you're an existing subscriber at one of the paid levels, you will see the new price in the next bill after August 17th.
Tom, are you still mucking about with Peacock? Are they still doing the thing where they say there are technically no ads, but there are definitely ads for other Peacock shows?
They do the promos thing. I don't know. I haven't really been using it. I was paying for the ad-free version, but I stopped. So I get ads now anyway.
Yep. YouTube Premium is the service that removes ads from YouTube videos and also adds in a few other perks like being able to access YouTube Music. YouTube just raised the price in the US by $2 from $11.99 a month to $13.99 a month. It even it raised even more if you pay through Apple to $18.99 a month. Thanks, Steve Jobs. The annual plan rose $20 to $139.99 a year, and the student plan rose $1 to $7.99. The family plan remains unchanged at $22.99 a month. Tom, I'm detecting a trend here.
Yeah, inflation. Prices are going up. I want to point out that prior to this change, a family plan didn't make sense for me and Eileen because it was $9.99, I think. So 2 plans was $20. A family plan was $23. However, in 3 months, when they apply the $11.99 a month to us, suddenly the family plan will make sense, and we'll probably switch to it. You're good with the price increases, though.
No. I'm just aware that we ran out of our 1 minute, and I don't have time to commentate.
What if we give you a special dispensation?
Okay, you know what? We used to do extensions.
Yeah.
You know what? I wonder if this is a play to bundle people together because there's that psychological pressure of social proof. It's if one person subscribes for a thing, that one person feels complete autonomy to unsubscribe to that thing. But if somebody signs up on behalf of their family, then all of a sudden, no one person feels the authority to withdraw that for everyone. For example, it was like we talked about with the Hulu thing. It was a surprise to me that we had even changed plans, but apparently everybody except for me got together and decided we should do it.
Yeah, I think you're right. It does make a difference to cancel something when someone else is part of it. I have a Duolingo family plan that my sister's part of, and I haven't really thought about canceling Duolingo, but when I think about like, what if I did, I would have to check with her, right?
And nobody wants to have that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, is it really worth it? I'm still using it a little. Might as well keep it. Yeah. AMC ended its test of charging you different amounts based on where you sit in the theater. The program was called Sightline, gave you a discount for front row seats, and then charged you extra for more desirable seats in the middle of the theater. The extra charge did not reduce seating in the preferred seats, and the discount didn't get any more people to sit in the less desirable seats. So in other words, it didn't make any difference. So they're ending it. They're like, yep, that didn't work.
So when we first talked about this, we talked about our personal preferences. Maybe it's a good time to revisit it and have all of the listeners write us at cordkillers@gmail.com and say what it is you care about. Because it was the wildest thing. When I went to Oppenheimer, I tried to click on a seat and it says, you cannot sit 1 seat away from the people nearest you. And I was like...
I've run into that before.
Well,
too,
but there are 5 seats here, so I guess I'll just sit 2 seats away, and then So we've talked about
that's because they'll have a harder time selling that single seat than they'll have selling the 2.
Sure.
So they're but they do that on purpose. But that's of course a different.
But it also kind of creates like weird perverse incentives, for me to hog up more space than I otherwise would have.
I actually didn't think this was as ridiculous as many people did, this charging different for different parts of the theater. And I wonder if it's just because people are so unused to having to think about price, that even though they were getting a discount for sitting up front or paying extra to sit in the middle, they were just like, yeah, okay, I guess that's what it costs. I want to go see this movie. Like, I think what it showed was people are just not terribly price sensitive when it comes to movies. They're going to go to the movies or not.
I agree. And not only are they price sensitive on dollars, but also in terms of their patience. Like, if you're watching a YouTube video, if you don't have something for me in the next 10 seconds, I'm out. Whereas nobody sits down, gets their popcorn, and then gets up and leaves during the credits. Meanwhile, the arrival of the back catalog of Suits on Netflix and Peacock made it the #1 streaming show for the entire week ending in June 25th. Season 1 got the most views. It racked up more than 2 billion minutes. The first show to do that since The Night Agent in March. Black Mirror increased its minutes, but fell to #2 because of Suits. CBS's SWAT, available on Paramount Plus, Hulu, and Netflix, came in 3rd. Extraction 2 on Netflix was 4th, and The Bear from Hulu came in 5th, more than doubling its best season 1 numbers.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that The Bear doubled its best season 1 numbers. That implies that a lot of people slowly caught up with it over the intervening year, and then all of them watched season 2.
It is one of those shows that you mostly hear from a friend who's super passionate about it, saying, you got to watch this thing.
I also thought it was fascinating that Suits, non-exclusive show, it's on Netflix and Peacock, #1, because people were interested. It's back catalog, not broadcast cable, USA Network, but still mainstream television. It's not prestige television, right?
I will point out that when I opened up Netflix, there was a particularly good 15-second segment that they showed. Something where somebody was being smart to another person. It was like, out of the whole series, they picked like one really good moment. And I was like, well, this looks good. And then I looked at the reviews and I was like, that I'll get around to.
and certainly Meghan Markle being part of it helps. That's probably propelled it to #1, but CBS's SWAT came in 3rd, and that's on Paramount Plus, Hulu, and Netflix. So being available on more than one platform will elevate shows into the top 5 on the Nielsen. And then finally, we mentioned it earlier, Prime Video released a teaser for season 2 of Invincible and announced that will arrive on November 3rd. And Brian, there's a standalone as well that you were talking about.
Yeah, I only caught the beginning of it, and I was just, I had choice paralysis, so I ran away and watched Oppenheimer, and I regret it.
Okay, so you haven't watched it yet?
I watched the first 3 minutes.
Gotcha. All right, let's get to the dispatches from the front. Simon wrote in and said that I had talked about how it seems like Comcast is trying to get to a place where they're basically just renting you the streaming box. And Simon says that's exactly the situation we have in the UK with the Comcast-owned Sky. They no longer advertise or take online orders for satellite TV. They are famous for rather advertising their Sky Glass, a 4K TV with Atmos running the Sky software, or Sky Stream, a 4K streaming box running Sky software as well. All the linear channels are streamed across the internet, and it has almost all the UK streaming services, both paid, free, integrated. Some like Peacock and Paramount Plus come free. Others like Netflix, you pay Sky for access to, while others you currently have to sub directly but are integrated into the interface. So that does seem to be where pay TV is going. They are turning into a service and subscription consolidation platform. Well written, Simon. Thank you for that.
Meanwhile, we've been talking about the meta of our show, Cordkillers. The idea, now that we've killed all the cords, what should the next phase, what does phase 2 of the cord killing universe look like? And we got a fantastic email from James Thatcher and so many other people very proactively helping us write the next chapter of the meta. Thank you to everybody who's doing that.
And Kevin, in a similar vein, made a list for us of sliders because we've talked about doing library watches and like, what are we going to do after Miami Vice? Should we go and do an older back catalog episode. And Kevin said, look, I'm sharing this list again since it was brought up and I already did the work. Hope it isn't too confusing. Just a guide to some of the best episodes of Sliders. Thank you, Kevin.
I do love the curated experience. Like my wife just yesterday was saying, whatever the show is, just watch them all and then tell me the good parts, and we'll watch those a second time. And I think that's a good idea.
Now, we are pretty well settled on Cordkillers Reckoning as sort of the way to identify this new era we're all living in. But Matthew wanted to make one more suggestion before we nail it down for sure. Cordkillers, the new normal or the new norm, says it's not a thing that's flashy, but it embodies the fact that more people are killing the cable cord than ever.
That's not bad. That's not bad if we wanted to. Not
What
bad.
about Cordkillers Norm?
Everybody be normal. This is a robbery.
Everybody be cool. This is a cord killing.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you all for these suggestions. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being here and hanging out with us. If you don't know this already, our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on twitch.tv/Night Attack, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Come join us, and we'll talk to you then.
Hey, Tom Merritt, what's going
Yes.
on?
I'm just hanging out here watching this scroll go by. What are you doing?
Trying to set up a bit where we thank our beautiful, beautiful patrons, all these wonderful
I'm sorry,
names.
I'm too distracted looking at these beautiful, beautiful patron names going by. Look at that one. I mean, if you wanted to be one of these people, patreon.com/cordkillers would be the place to go.
I mean, they're scratching our itch, like, because we're
I think
addicted.
as long as it's consensual, like, fine.
we're addicted to their money.
And love. Might as well face it.
Well, God damn it.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.